Hello. Today we're talking about indivision. What is indivision? It's a situation when several persons own altogether a title on one same property. Well, usually it's real estate property, movable property, but technically it can be like any kind of property. And the point why it's tricky is that in indivision, no one, even if there is an allocation, like, okay, it's a triplex, for example, and you use first floor, second floor, you use third floor, you use basement, or this, but it's all like an arrangement. But no one has a separate title, separate ownership of any part of the property. So, what happens when somebody doesn't want to continue to be one of the co-owners? For example, he or she has like 17% of the whole title. Or what happens when there is a problem with the roof in a triplex, for example, which technically only causes some inconvenience to the one who is using the top floor, but technically it's a problem of the whole property. So it's responsibility for the whole one undivided owner who is like consisting of these three or maybe more. Maybe there are five and three of them are using the property. So what are the rights of those two who is not using the property? This kind of question in practice comes up a lot in a situation of an estate, a succession. Like there is a big family, parents unfortunately pass away, and there is some property left where the parents lived, for example, and maybe there were two floors that were rented out to some tenants, and now it all comes to, let's say, the 12 heirs in, well, for the ease of it, let's say in equal shares. And while some could be still living in the same city, though they might pretend to have a right to live in there, others who might even live abroad in another country, they're not interested, so they wanna their share, they wanna sell. And let's say, of course, it's an easy situation when everybody is in agreement about the value of the property, and they can agree that one or two of them will buy others out. So it's all can go to some resolution peacefully. But what if it doesn't? And those who continue to live in there want to continue to live in there, and sometimes without paying anything to anyone. And others, or it might be, for example, a consequence of some divorce, and then again a state and succession manner. So those who separated, they had some mutual understanding, and it lasted until one of them died, and his or her heirs don't want to continue that way. And again, the question would be what kind of documentation was prepared. The general rule is, by the Civil Code of Quebec, that no one is bound to remain an indivision, meaning that if you're a part owner, even a small part owner, you can initiate partition. Well, in practice, it means that you can initiate a sale. And if others do not agree, then you can go to court and you can initiate a sale under judicial authority. Basically, the court will order the sale. Again, until or unless there is no some kind of agreement. And usually it's not the best option because the sale under judicial authority is usually like less flexible as to who will be the real estate agent, what will be the limits of the price, and well, the market can go beyond or below that, and well, what will you do? Go back to the court again, and so forth. So usually, the most of those cases, if they go to court only to show seriousness of one's intentions, and usually they end up in some sort of agreement. But if they don't, then there might be litigation. And if you read this article, you'll see that, yeah, no one is bound to remain in indivision unless, so there are exceptions, conditions, and again, it depends on what kind of indivision, because some of them, they have a co-ownership agreement, especially if that was an indivision formed at the times when condos, like divided co-ownership, was not yet provided by the legislator. So at the time, the very same, at least similar result was reached by the fact that, for example, it was like the same triplex and 3 families, and they were meant to be co-owners, but they have this co-ownership agreement, just allocating for exclusive use some of the some part of this whole triplex to one, to another, and to another. So, well, on paper and with those legal instruments, the result was more or less similar to condo, but to like the idea that the divided ownership. But once condos become available with a like clear legal framework for that, with better protection for each individual owner of the individual part, uh, that reason to maintain an indivision is no longer valid, because as you understand, if you own a condo, you just own that, and you could sell that, and you could just go on your own way. When it comes to an indivision, it's more complicated from the legal point of view. But again, back to the original concerns, indivisions very often just appear when one owner becomes several, and it's the same property, without particular allocation of some of the property to some of them. So it can be rectified. The undivided property can be transformed into just into condo property, into divided property. One can ask, again, the court to allocate specific parts of the property to some of the owners, especially if it's possible to just divide it somehow. But again, the point is that very often, when it comes to a conflict, it's a conflict between those who don't want to sell because they want to continue to use the property, and those who want to sell because they want their share, like they want their money basically from that. And then the Article 1030 is used to go to court if there is no agreement and to ask for a sale. Just for the sake of further information, there are more articles regarding indivision, and you would see that there are ways to negotiate and to partition and to delay and postpone the indivision in some cases. So it's not that simple, but for the practical reasons, again, immediately or after certain conditions are satisfied or met, if one of the co-owners don't want to continue, the best way for others is to buy him or her out. And if there is a complicating documents, which is a co-ownership agreement, and there might be conditions how to dissolve the division in that document, and this right of first offer that the one leaving the division should offer to the others, and sometimes there might be even a price limit in that, and so forth. So usually it's not that simple, it's not that easy, and most probably you'll need at least a consultation with a lawyer, which I encourage you to have. But all in all, if, as it happens, some people think that even though they have only 30% or even 50% of the property, they can continue to use it against the will of those who want to sell it. Well, no, it doesn't work that way. So, most often, either you will agree on some terms or it will be sold. If at any moment you have a choice where to go for co-ownership in division or in a divided property, which is a condo, well, generally it's recommended to go for a condo. If you can transform your undivided property, your division, into a divided property, and after that each of the owners could just dispose of his or her part without disturbing others, again, well, that's advisable. Though, well, there might be legal obstacles, so again, a consultation with a notary, with a lawyer, is advisable in such a situation. But still, bottom line, you'll have to negotiate, you'll have to take into account the approaches, the opinions, the attitudes of the other co-owners, even if, as you think, it comes to your ownership, like your family lived there for like 50 years in this particular part of the building, and suddenly you might realize that the whole building is put on sale against your wish, even though you are one of the co-owners. This is something to take into account, I think. Thank you, and have a nice day.